Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the introductory episode of The Hellacious Hero Returns. I am Hellacious Hero Joe. You're probably asking yourself, returns, if this is the introductory episode, how are you returning? That's a good point. But the bottom line is I will return. But really what this YouTube channel is about why I'm wearing a leather jacket when it's 85 degrees outside. It's just my style, right? I'm metal. Hellacious Hero. Duh, right? Just kidding. Just kidding. This YouTube channel, as you can see, some of my favorite things is what this channel is going to be about, primarily. And a lot of those things that I'm passionate about are really behind me here. As you can see, a slew of comic books on the bottom shelf there. There's actually 3 bookshelves here. One in the middle, one on this side, one on this side. Filled with comic books, history books, philosophy books, science fiction books, all that great stuff. That's what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about a lot of different things. Magic the Gathering cards there, Commander decks, you can see that. Invicta watches. Good watches if you get a chance. But no, really, the Hellacious Hero Returns is based on, it's a play on words really, of The Dark Knight Returns. The famous graphic novel, quote-unquote, comic book by the one and only legendary Frank Miller. Absolutely amazing, one of my favorites of all time. Fantastic graphic novel. He's genius. He's a genius as far as I'm concerned. But there's 4 or 5 things that this channel really is going to discuss. And the first one is comic books, like I'd mentioned. Comic book reviews. In particular, as you can see behind me, Batman. He's my favorite superhero. My favorite hero. Really got me into the whole comic book universe. I was born in 1986. I grew up in the 90s. And the 90s were an amazing time for Batman. Really, the 90s were awesome. I loved growing up in the 90s. I'm very thankful for that, you know. Let's see here. 1989 was Batman with Michael Keaton. 92 was Returns, and that was the first Batman movie I ever saw in theaters. I watched the Adam West stuff with my grandfather. And Nightfall, that comic book, was the first comic book I read from beginning to end, the Batman comic, Batman Nightfall. It was the introduction of Bane. The cover was amazing. I saw it in a local grocery store at the time, and I had to have it, and it was just amazing. It's, Bane breaking Batman's back over his knee, and I was like, oh my god, so cool. But I got that in like 1993, I think, when that came out. Amazing story by Chuck Dixon and Doug Mensch. Batman was just so cool to me. Just like this really intimidating, really super muscular, pointy ear, just, over the top, just exaggerated Batman, but looks so cool and so, like, menacing to a certain extent. I love that character. To this day, it's probably my favorite iteration of the character. But Batman is a foundational point, number 1, in the comic books for me. And like I said, this channel is going to talk about comic books and comic book reviews. And pretty much just going to probably deal with a lot of Batman comics, because he's my numero uno. And I'm a big DC guy. I love Marvel. I really, really love Marvel. I love a lot of the anti-heroes because of Batman. Batman got me into characters like, Wolverine and Daredevil. Again, Frank Miller, great story, great run on that character. Man Without Fear, check it out. That's what the Daredevil TV series on Netflix is based on. But that is what this is going to be about. Comic books. Love it. And that's the first thing. Second big inspiration for me is fantasy. That starts for me with Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Those works by J.R.R. Tolkien got me into other things. Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering when I was younger. All that kind of stuff is influenced for me by Tolkien. Later in my life, Game of Thrones and that whole phenomenon. But also other things, Through Tolkien and The Hobbit and stuff like that, I discovered Chronicles of Narnia. I discovered Chronicles of Prydain. Black Cauldron, that kind of stuff. Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle. Those books. I fell in love with fantasy movies. Lady Hawk, Legend with Tom Cruise and Tim Curry as the guy who looks like the devil, the big red, the big red guy. He looks basically the devil. And that whole story, and that whole mythos, and just movies like that. And then when the Lord of the Rings movies came out when I was a teenager in high school, I was just blown away because it was everything I wanted. And Peter Jackson did a phenomenal job with that. And even later, just I love the mythology aspect and the folklore and the fantasy aspect of movies, and then it ties into comic books to a certain extent, and I love that, like the hero's journey and mythology and the ideas of Joseph Campbell that I learned when I was in college. And love to appreciate. That's a big part of my life's philosophy. I love that stuff. But the channel is going to be about that too, fantasy. So comic books and fantasy, two big cornerstones, and a couple others, like I said. The third one is science fiction. Science fiction is a huge part of my life. I love it. I love science fiction. I love Star Wars. And even though that has a lot of heavy fantasy elements integrated with science fiction, it's kind of like a science fiction skin over the top of it, because it's really kind of like a religious connotation, and a historical connotation with a lot of the imagery and stuff that's in Star Wars, much like Lord of the Rings and much like comic books in general. But they're all related. Star Wars was space for me. It was spaceships, it was space chases, it was the X-Wing, the Millennium Falcon, the Death Star, the TIE Fighters, Empire Strikes Back with the snow speeders and all that crazy stuff, and the robots, R2-D2 and C-3PO, and different life forms, Jabba the Hutt, bounty hunters, Boba Fett, evil dark lords with the Force like the Sith, and then, the Jedi, the real pure characters. A really cool dynamic, and really dualism, good and evil, right? Heaven and hell, sun and moon, opposites, vice versa, so on and so forth. That whole, like I said, religious connotation and aspect. But through the droids in particular, like I mentioned, C-3PO and R2-D2, I loved robots. Robots are my favorite science, and like androids, they're my favorite science fiction stuff to read about. Blade Runner, that movie, when I saw that, 2001: A Space Odyssey. You're talking about science fiction works. Philip K. Dick, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep is what Blade Runner's, loosely based off of. Total Recall with Schwarzenegger, even, like this dystopian fantasy stuff. Minority Report, those kind of movies. Like I said, 2001, Arthur C. Clarke, Frank Herbert in Dune, that movie, in the book. Just incredible works that are just legendary and timeless classics. Blade Runner is my favorite science fiction movie of all time. I love the ambiguity of it. I love the mythological and religious ties, and the idea that, like the saying, do androids dream of electric sheep, like the title of the book. Is it possible for androids to have a consciousness, to feel, to have empathy, to know right from wrong? Or are they just machines? Are they just mindless machines? And then that got me into other things too. They got me into Terminator and RoboCop and all that really awesome, and even modern day stuff like Ex Machina, that movie, and Ghost in the Shell, the anime. And Ghost in the Shell was one of the first animes I watched, and I loved it. It was just so cerebral and so philosophical. Really makes you worry, excuse me, not worry, but wonder about your existence, what it means to be alive. What does it actually mean, right? Can we create something with intelligence? Artificial intelligence? But is it artificial? Is it really artificial intelligence, or is it real? Are we just like the androids, the replicants, the robots, the Cylons, the Borg, Star Trek, Babylon 5, or excuse me, not Babylon 5, Battlestar Galactica, that kind of stuff. Really interesting stuff. So that right there is three cornerstones: comic books, fantasy, science fiction. Another big thing for me is music. And in particular, I'm a huge fan right now. My favorite genre of music is metal music, heavy metal. I love heavy metal music. And in particular, the band that really propelled me to love metal, and pretty much solely listen to that for the most part, is Iron Maiden. They're my all-time favorite band. You probably see some of the boxes up there, the special edition releases I bought on Digipack, their CDs. I love Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden and all the stuff I've mentioned, prior, those cornerstones, it's a way of life for me. It's how I live my life. I believe that there are very, very important principles in fantasy, science fiction, in comic books, in music that can really, propel people forward and help them grow as individuals. And I think, sorry about the horns outside, it's a busy neighborhood around here. But I think that, people need to kind of take a closer look at those things. And that's kind of what this channel is going to be about too. It's going to be my personal experience and how those things kind of shaped me as a person and who I am. And they really guided me in a path in the right direction. And I'm very thankful for what I have in my life. I get to help people on a daily basis. I work in law enforcement now as a juvenile probation officer. That's my occupation. I help kids from all walks of life. Poor, wealthy, white, black, Asian, Indian, mixed race, doesn't matter. I'm very thankful for what I do, and I'm very, very grateful to have the opportunity to work with such a diverse body of people. It's great to help, educate, get to know, and experience the lives and the stories, and just immerse yourself in that kind of thing. And to share, like I said, things I'm passionate about with other people, and to help them grow, appreciate different things, and really discover something within themselves. I think it's an important thing. So that's part of what this channel is about. If you're not familiar with all the stuff I talk about, if you are, awesome. Maybe it'll be a good review for you. If you're not, hopefully it's something new and it's something fresh and it's something that you can be like, oh my god, this is awesome. I never knew this about this. This is amazing. I love it. And I hope you get a chance to experience it and appreciate it as much as I do. Or maybe even, discover something completely different, but that's relatable. You start your own YouTube channel. Talk about it. But those are really 4 big things. And then the 5th thing, if I had to add one more thing to the list, it would be entertainment, and by that I mean like video games. Video games, board games, card games, that kind of stuff. I kind of want to maybe do some reviews with that too on this channel. And talk about different games I play. I love Catan. I love chess. It's one of my... Chess is a classic game. It's amazing. Chess is amazing. And I love Magic the Gathering, I'd mentioned. And then, like I said, video games. There's a lot of really cool games out there that I love to review and talk about. I grew up with Nintendo. That, for me, was the foundational thing that got me into other things later in life. PlayStation. Xbox. Played a lot of Sega when I was a kid. Played some Atari when I was a kid. PC gaming. World of Warcraft. Not so much anymore. I don't really do MMOs anymore. I just don't have enough time because I'm so immersed with all that stuff. But console gaming is kind of my thing. If I play anything on the computer, it's like a strategy game. It's like Age of Empires or StarCraft 2 or something like that. That's what I play on the computer. But outside of that, most of my stuff goes with consoles. And I own all the current gen consoles. I own a Switch, PS4, Xbox One. I own them all. I love them all. They're all different. They're all unique. Although I must say that I was kind of let down by the exclusives on the old XB1 this time around. But who doesn't love Halo? Who doesn't love Gears of War? I mean, those are classic franchises, not Gears 5. Gears 5, awesome. Check it out if you haven't. Awesome game. Love the Gear stuff. Love Halo. PlayStation. I mean, Sony is just killing it with their exclusives this console generation. And I was really, really surprised by the Switch when it released a couple years ago. Their exclusives are incredible. I mean, it's such It's such a nifty little thing to pick up and carry it with you, and then dock it, and then it comes up on your TV. It's just a really super cool, unique idea. I love it. But it all, excuse me, it all ties together. It's all relatable. It's all fantastic. But like I said, this is just a heads up. This is an introductory episode. This is just talking a little bit about what I plan to do with this. And it's going to be reviews and, some discourse and some discussion about comic books, about fantasy novels, fantasy movies, science fiction novels, science fiction movies, about music, album reviews, about live shows, maybe if I see one or two, about new video games that I play or old games that I've played that I love that I want to talk about. It's going to be about that. But predominantly, for the most part right now, I'm probably going to start off with comic books because right now I'm kind of in a comic book phase. I'm really, as you can see, I have a ton back here and their shelves just filled. Pop figurines too. I collect pops because I'm a collector. Cool, right? But I just finished, actually, like I said, my favorite hero of all time is Batman. And I just finished Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's Last Night on Earth. And I gotta tell you, their run on Batman, even though they left the main Batman continuity a couple years ago, and they kind of did like spin-off stuff with Dark Knight's Metal and Batman Who Laughs and, All-Star Batman and stories like that. Their run from, I think they started in 2011, it's now 2020. It's now July of 2020. Wow. Immense. I've been a Batman fan, like I said, since the early 90s. And for my almost 3 decades of love for this character, they are one of the greatest creative teams on Batman ever, in my opinion. I'm a metalhead, so of course I love Dark Knight's Metal. I mean, peep this leather jacket, right? Dark Knight's Metal was an incredible story. Nightmare versions of Batman? How fucking cool is that? And it's amazing. Who comes up with this stuff? I mean, look at that. That's an Elseworlds Batman back there. You see him, Batman Vampire, right there in the middle where I'm pointing. Batman Vampire. Batman Who Laughs over here. Yes. Can you see this one? Oh, this is Terminator. Oh, sorry. But there's Batman stuff up there. You see the Dracula there from Castlevania? I love it all. Castlevania's a video game. Now it's an anime on Netflix. It's a pop figurine. It's Dracula. Vlad Dracula Tepes. Amazing. Yeah, I mean, but the first comic book review I'm going to show you real quick, guys, because I know this is introductory, but I'm so hyped. This is so cool for me. This is a new YouTube channel. I mean, of course I'm going to be hyped about it. Why wouldn't I be? This is the Hellacious Hero Returns, and I haven't even returned yet. This is the introductory episode. Just wait till I return with a review. Hopefully it's better than this episode, right? And I'm not making a bumbling ass out of myself up here, which I probably am, but you know what? I make an ass out of myself every day, so what's it matter, right? Be an ass. Go out there and have some humility, right? Make an ass out of yourself. Enjoy your life. Be happy. Be cool. Be carefree, right? Don't be serious all the time. People are so uptight. Relax. Chill. It's like Van Wilder, right? Worrying's like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it gets you nowhere. Amazing quote. Ryan Reynolds. Oh, he's also Deadpool. What? That's right. I tied those together. Yeah. But check this out. Right here, baby. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. Last Night on Earth. Batman, Last Night on Earth. DC Comics Black Label. And I'm going to tell you right here, this Black Label. Black Label is killing it with their work. I love my mature comics. I love my comics more mature, and I like them bloody, and I like them with mature content. I like them with violence. And I like it when they really play tricks in your mind, and they're cerebral, and they're realistic. And the Black Label and their run and what they're doing, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, their run in general from 2011 with Court of Owls, Death in the Family, and the All-Star Batman stuff, and Dark Knight's Metal, and the Batman Who Laughs, and all that crazy stuff. I mean, they just knock it out of the park with realism and cerebral mind games and stuff that just like it makes your head go, holy shit, was that insane? You see it and you're like, what? Did that just happen? And Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo are like, yeah, we did that. That is what happened, and it's fucking insane. But we love it, and we want you to love it too. And if you don't, too bad, because it's going to get even crazier the next issue, or the next comic we do, or the next event, and it does. And this is a prime example of it. Some of the shit in here is insane. It is insane. Like, I can't tell you enough how insane it is. It is crazy, insane, some of the stuff that goes on in this series. I mean, wow. I mean, I'm gonna show you guys a couple pictures real quick. I'm gonna review this later, but you have to see some of the variant covers if I can get to the back here. Of just some of the stuff, because it is insane. Insane. My Jim Carrey impersonation. It's insane. The password is right, Jim Carrey. The pass. It's just skin, Steven. Look at that. Come on. Come on. Yeah. Clap. Clap. That's right. Clap your hands. Pat yourself on the back. Good job. Look at that. Bane and Scarecrow. This is a new villain called Omega. Just wait till you see the twist in this story. But whoa, it's amazing. So cool. Is that Darkseid's head? It is. What was that for? Huh? You have to read the comic. I'm not going to spoil it. No spoilers here. I'm just showing you the art. I'll review the comic later. Look at that. Is that Joker's head in a lantern? It is. Just wait till you read about it. Wow. Insane. Look at that right there. I mean, I'm going on here, and I know I'm going off on a tangent, but you know, who cares? And there's the black and white one for you. And that's the end. And I'll show you the back just because it's... Whoop, can you read all that? Can you read all the text real quick? Give you a time limit here. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, too late. No, I'm just kidding. Snapshot it, screenshot it. Can you see it? Read the summary. Check it out. Really good. Again, Batman Last Night on Earth. Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo. Amazing team. Amazing team. Amazing. Probably the best run on Batman in a very, very long time. It's one of my favorites if you're going to ask me personal questions here. There's let me get these out of the way because I know it's an introductory episode, but sorry. Stuttering, slurring speech here. I have a list, but it kind of sounds like it maybe. Love Frank Miller. Mentioned him already. Dark Knight Returns. A classic. Classic. Alan Moore. Killing Joke. Short but sweet and very, very, very controversial comic book. One of the most controversial comic books of all time. Not only in Batman continuity, but in general. Some of the stuff that goes on in there. Alan Moore's, corpus of work is incredible. Watchmen, V for Vendetta, stuff like that. You're not going to find anything that comes close to that stuff. That stuff is off the wall. He also did a really great run of The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Probably saw the movie with Sean Connery. It's based on a comic book. Vertigo Comics, DC Comics, brand label, that kind of stuff. Absolutely phenomenal. Amazing run. But I love Killing Joke. I love Alan Moore. Frank Miller, Alan Moore. Obviously Chuck Dixon and Doug Mensch, like I mentioned, with the Nightfall story arc. One of my favorite stories of all time because of my nostalgia, my personal connection with the first Batman comic I ever read. Oh, I love it so much. So good. The way that's depicted in there, the introduction of the character Bane is just magnifico, right? Other artists I'm really, really passionate about and I love, and story creators and things like that. I love Jim Lee. Batman Hush. I mean, Hush is an amazing character and storyline. It's so good. Comics like The Long Halloween, Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale, Dark Victory, Grant Morrison stuff with Batman is absurd and amazing and crazy, but I love it. There's so many great Batman writers. It's off the wall. Another great great writer that I've really come to appreciate a lot is James Tynion IV. It's funny because I just mentioned Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. Scott Snyder is the author and Greg Capullo, obviously, the artist. Snyder actually was impressed by something that James Tynion IV wrote, and he actually got him a job at DC writing for DC Comics. And he actually helped reinvigorate and recreate, Talon, the character for Court of Owls, and he wrote like Talon spinoffs. James Tynion IV wrote a lot of cool stuff. He wrote the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Batman crossover, which is awesome. I love TMNT. Grew up with that as a kid too. And he actually helmed the Batman Detective Comics continuity. And they're releasing that in the omnibus hardcover edition here pretty soon, so I'm stoked to have that whole collection. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to get that, but that'll be something to review down the line, right? But his work is incredible. I mean, he's such a great author. A huge fan of him. I can go on for days about all the people I love who write Batman. Brian Azzarello and Libra Mayo, and the work they did together. And I mentioned DC Black Label, their latest release, Batman Damned, another controversial comic because there was a scene they kind of edited out because there was nudity in it. Really, was there? What was it? What was it? Nudity? Batman's what? The password is. Batman's password. Oh, what was that? Yeah. Oh, yeah. The first couple issues of the comic that were released actually had Batman's junk. You can kind of see it. And it was controversial, so the later issues kind of like shaded it a little bit darker. They put the penciling and the shading down a little darker, so like, you can't really see his junk anymore now, right? Let's keep it, rated R, but not MA here, guys. I mean, come on, there's blood and gore and guts everywhere, but we can't show any penises, right? Amazing comic, by the way. Why? Well, Joker dies, and Batman kind of has to investigate his murder with the one and only dun 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 dun. Drum roll, who is it? You guessed it, the Hellblazer, John Constantine. Not Keanu Reeves, though. Sorry, it's the comic book version. It's a blonde guy. It's the guy who played on the TV series. What's his name? Liam something. Can't remember his name. By the way, thanks for canceling Constantine. The show was awesome. The first season was amazing, and they were like, "Oh, it's done. We're done. It's over." Come on, guys. You get good shows and they're done. I don't want to see Legends of Tomorrow. Like, I'm done with that kind of stuff. Arrow was good. Flash is good. Legends of Tomorrow, I'm not really a big fan of it. I gotta be honest with you. As a DC fan, I'm just like, should have kept Constantine and canceled Legends of Tomorrow. Really. Yeah. And what is up with Hawkman and his continuity? It's all over the place. It's crazy. I love a Hawkman movie, though. I'm not gonna lie. Carter Hall's awesome. Great character. Underrated character. But I'm gonna be straight up with you. DC, if you're out there listening to this video, what I really want is Lobo. Yes, I want Lobo. I want a Lobo movie. I want a Lobo movie. I'll say it again. I want a Lobo standalone origin movie. It would be amazing. Please make it happen. Please make it happen. Please, all the DC and comic book gods above, make it happen for me. Lobo. But anyway, guys, again, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I know that I'm all over the place and I'm kind of like crazy. I want to try to inject some humor into this show. I want to put a side of myself into the show. I want to share my passions, my loves, and everything that those cornerstones that I talked about, those things that I'm passionate about within those realms. I want to share it with you guys. I want to get your feedback. I want to get your criticism. I want to introduce you guys to new things, and I want you guys to introduce stuff to me that I might not know about, Everybody's different. Everybody's unique. Everybody has their own favorites, their own things they're passionate about, their own things they pull from material. And I want to share that with everyone. So I just want to say, again, thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Okay? This is the Hellacious Hero Returns YouTube channel. And remember, always, always, always be genuine. Always be authentic. always do you, okay? Don't hold back. Kick ass. Kill it. Always. Kill it. I love you guys. Peace.